Okay, we're live. Hello, and we just finished a great event. Thank you for your questions from all over the world. I had a great time reading all of them. The question that we decided to ask is from a fan of our Facebook page in Kabul, Afghanistan. So thank you for your question. So we're going to answer regarding the refugee crisis. The 1951 Convention on the Rights of the Refugee was brought up by this user, and he wants to know how you would better respond with the multilateral system to this crisis.
Hello, thank you all for your questions, and especially thank you, Kabul. There were actually quite a few young people from Afghanistan that came through Croatia, through my country, last year, especially last fall. Actually, since mid-September, there were about 658,000 people that came through Croatia. They didn't stay there, but they stayed for a little while. They were all going to Germany. Now, what could be done to approach or deal with this situation differently? First of all, I think a lot needs to be done to prevent the kind of situations in which people have to run away and become refugees. I think that when you looked at the families and babies and little children and young boys who were coming through the country, you could see that nothing apart from horrible atrocities and things that were happening in their country wouldn't have made them leave their countries. So this is something that's a very serious task for the UN and also for the regional multilateral organizations. However, once you have refugees, and you will probably always, unfortunately, have different situations that will create and force people to leave their homes and try to find livelihood somewhere else, I think it is important to have a coordinated response. In other words, for countries that can provide refuge to work together, to stick to the same standards, to understand what kind of experience these people are going through, to focus on helping the refugees rather than their trying to justify and help their consciousness not helping these people and keeping them outside and out of their borders. One of the things that I noticed during the refugee crisis in Europe was that there were very, very different standards among different countries in what kind of assistance and help they provided for refugees. So one thing that could be and should be focused on is to make sure that these people get the same basic assistance and help regardless of where they find themselves.
Great, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope I come see you there.
All right, hello Facebook, and thank you to everyone for sending us your questions on both Facebook and Twitter. I'm Hillary. I'm here at International Peace Institute with the second candidate in our next SG series, Natalia German.
Hello.
And she has kindly agreed to answer a question that we chose from social media about climate change. So I will read that to you now. With more bad news coming from scientists, how would you keep the momentum of the Paris Agreement going between now and when the agreement goes into effect in 2020? What would you do to encourage cooperation at the regional, state, and local level?
Hello, and this is a question of highest relevance because we are very proud of the achievement of the Paris Climate Agreement last year, but the task of implementation is even more urgent. And I think that this is one area where we have to pursue the implementation without any hesitation. I just met with a group of small island Pacific states, and they have shared with me the existential concerns that the communities, that the population of those states is facing. And I think that it will serve us very well, that we deliver on the implementation of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and the Secretary General and the Secretariat provide all the best conditions for the necessary consultations and expertise from every stakeholder in order to deliver on that. And of course the objective is that we keep the temperature, the global temperature, well below 2 degrees Celsius. And for the island states, particularly in the Pacific, it has to be even lower. And it sounds like a long-term commitment. But there is a set of concrete actions which are the targets next to the Paris Climate Deal agreement, where we clearly know what needs to be done. And first, we have to focus on the adaptation itself. There were changes that the climate already has inflicted upon us all around the world. And adaptation for the communities who are facing with that challenge is just as important right now as preventing further consequences. And here we talk about the mitigation. And we need to ensure that people are relocated, that people are well provided for in terms of food and energy resources in order to ensure their sustainable development, just as anybody else. And we just have to make sure that we mitigate the potential consequences by uniting this time the efforts of the member states of the United Nations, the efforts of the private sector and important international financial institutions in order to have enough resources into that joint effort. And the resource planning has to start without any delay. And we also have to include the international technological and research community, because it's also about technology that has to serve the needs of the people, and most importantly the people who are sometimes losing their territories, their states to the effects of climate change. And I also have to add to that that climate change obviously is not only an environmental, but it is a sustainable development challenge. And the more we invest into building resilience in our communities and in our societies, the better we could eventually withstand the consequences. And building resilience, again, means that we have to deliver on the whole agenda for Sustainable Development 2030. And we have to make sure that we advance on eradication of poverty, providing for better health, for better education, providing for equity, and building the responsible institutions at the service of all our countries, and not forgetting the rule of law and not forgetting good governance. So I would say that this will be one of the most difficult tasks to deliver. As I said, it's adaptation, mitigation, coordinating very well between the member states, between all the United Nations bodies, both in the development and humanitarian sector. Those who can help us providing more resources, private sector, international financial institutions, and not to forget about the technological and research community. We all have to join efforts this time and make sure that it is not, the implementation is not delayed, but we have to start working it hands-on already now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your questions. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next time that we go live. And thank you, Jill, for your question.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Hello, Facebook. Thank you for tuning in to our Live with SG Candidate series. We are here, and do you want to say hello to everyone? Introduce yourself.
Vuk Jeremic, president of a think tank, Center for International Relations and Sustainable Development, that is headquartered in Belgrade, Serbia.
Great. So thanks everyone for sending us your questions. So we wanted to know, We are here in a think tank in New York, and you also have an academic background. Can you speak to us a little bit about the roles of think tanks and research in the work of the UN and international affairs?
Well, I've worked in government, and I also worked in international organizations prior to setting up a think tank, so I can now compare the two. The work in a think tank gives you essentially the freedom that you rarely have when working for international or national entity. And I think that it's invaluable, the contribution that academic community and think tanks in particular, targeted and focused think tanks in particular, can give to the work of those. And in particular when it comes to international relations that do require background, experience, knowledge that is sometimes not easily found in governments. And therefore I believe that think tanks are doing a great work, are doing a great service to the UN, to the other international organizations, to governments around the world, and for world peace in general. I want to commend the IPI's work. I'm actually following it very closely, in particular the work of its Independent Commission of Multilateralism. A lot of things that I work on, that I'm talking about these days, have been inspired by the work of this organization. And it was a great privilege today to be able to address it in person.
Great, thank you so much for that, and thank you everyone for your questions. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hello, Facebook. I am here at the International Peace Institute with our next candidate in the next SG series. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Tony Guterres. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Great. Thank you so much for the questions that you submit on Facebook throughout the event. A lot of you guys were members of civil society and young people, so we wanted to ask more generally, what are your thoughts about engaging with civil society at the UN, and how can people get engaged with the organization?
You know, one of the key instruments to make a democracy work is to have a permanent flow of intercommunication between the civil society and the political society in a country. And this was a very important contribution that the German philosopher Habermas has given to political thinking of our times. And if this is true for a country, it is also essential for international organizations. It is very important that we keep a permanent interflow of communication, that you have a permanent influence in what we do to make sure that the decisions we take, the strategies we implement, whatever we are able to pursue in peace and security, in sustainable development, or in human rights, is something that corresponds to the wills of the people, to the feelings of the people, to what you can convey to us at any moment to make sure you have a real influence in what we do.
Thanks so much. All right, make sure you subscribe so you always catch our next SG series. Have a good day.
Hi.
Hey guys, we are here at the International Peace Institute with the next installment of our next SG selfie interview. And I am joined by...
Serjan Kerim, a fan of selfies.
Great. All right. Well, thank you everyone for the questions on Facebook and Twitter. This question came in on Twitter from Simone Filippini in the Netherlands. Thanks for your question. She wants to know, how are you going to tackle world peace with members of the Security Council among the largest producers and traders of arms?
Well, this question has a moral but also a political dimension, and definitely we cannot separate the one from the other. From the moral point of view, the answer would be yes, you are right, we have a problem. From the political point of view, again, one would say it is not as simple as it looks at first sight. It is not simple because arms trading is as long as the history of human beings. It has been always part of international politics, diplomacy, and relations. The Security Council has its very clear duties and rights according to the UN Charter, and the Secretary General, of course, his own. So therefore, the only instrument which the Secretary General has in his own hands regarding the Security Council is to make use of his right, according to Article 99, to approach the Council on questions he believes are critical when it comes to the preservation and maintenance of peace and security.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye, guys. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss our next interview. Bye. Hi, everyone. We are here at the International Peace Institute, and I'm joined with the next SG candidate.
Hi, it's the first time I'm making such an interview. A selfie.
And we're here with Irina Bokova, and today's question is about gender equality. So could you tell us, if you became SG, how you would support gender equality both in the field and at headquarters?
Well, I'm taking very seriously gender equality. As I said, I take it seriously both from the point of view of women in the United Nations. In my organization, UNESCO, I have appointed half of my team, a senior management team, are women for the first time. We're reaching 50% total gender equality at the directorate positions and above. I think this is a strong message also to all. And at the same time, I think it's important to put issues of supporting women, be it in education, girls' education, adolescent girls, making advocacy for women in sciences, for women in political positions, against early marriages, abuse of women, children. I think this is really one of the most important agenda that the United Nations can take in the 21st century. And if I may say, it's not just a matter of justice. It's a matter of historic justice, no doubt about it. But I think this is the right way to achieve sustainable development in peace in this world. There is no other way. If we exclude women, if we don't give the empowering women, not just educate them, empower them, there is no other way we can achieve sustainability in our societies.
Thank you for doing the iPint selfie interview, and on National Selfie Day, no less. All right, if you want to catch the next interview, make sure you click subscribe, and thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Facebook. We are here at the International Peace Institute with the next installment of our Candidates for Secretary General series. I'm Hillary, and I am here with
Igor Lukšić. I'm candidate of Montenegro for the position of Secretary General of the United Nations.
Great. Thanks so much for everyone sending your questions on Facebook and Twitter. We had a lot of interest in the SDGs and the global goals, so we thought it would be great to choose a question about Goal 8, which is for good jobs and economic growth. So how would you, as Secretary General, work to achieve this goal?
Well, first of all, I think that Sustainable Development Agenda is incredibly important agenda, because in the long run, what reduces peace and security and humanitarian costs is exactly development. And what should make us all feel concerned is the lack of development anywhere in the world. So I think all the efforts we need to invest into SDGs are simply needed. And first step with this goal and with any other goal will be to identify a leading agency fund program of the United Nations that should be not monopolizing or have any exclusive rights over this goal, but to be able to lead and coordinate multi-sectoral approach and efforts of other agencies, funds, programs that will help this goal met by member states. So good jobs and economic growth, that's absolutely something which everybody wants, everybody needs. It has to be sustainable. It means also sustainable use of resources. It means also that it should not be a conflicting goal with climate change, not be a conflicting goal with other ones. And I think we need to be able to work out with regional economic commissions or regional fora for sustainable development, with member states, the best policies that will bring us towards more growth and more jobs. I think that what concerns most of the people nowadays, most of the young people in particular, because young people all too often grow disillusioned about today's world's opportunities, and we need to make sure that we are able to provide them with optimism and opportunities.
Great, thanks so much, and make sure if you like this series, you subscribe so you don't miss our next installment. All right, bye guys.
Bye-bye.
Hello everyone, I'm Valencia. I'm here at IPI for the Next SG selfie interview, and I'm here with
Miroslav Lajčák. Hello.
Great. So many of you asked online and in the audience today about SDGs. So we're going to ask about SDG goal number 3, which is good health and well-being. So my question for you is, what steps would you take as the next SG to ensure good health and well-being for all?
Well, there are 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and I consider each of them equally important. So you've chosen the goal number 3, health. And here let me say that it's something that you take for granted when you are young, because you simply have it. But the way you grow more mature, you understand that it's not given. And as they say that when you are healthy, you have many problems, many concerns, but when you are sick, then you have only one problem, which is how to become healthy again. So I believe we have to create conditions for an active lifestyle to maintain and keep your health. Second, to guarantee access to the health care services all over the world, and to make it and to use the resources at our disposal so that every person can get the access and get the proper medical treatment. And also to talk about it, because you need to take care of your health, and therefore you should know how to do it, what's important to do, and here the United Nations can do a lot. So I wish everyone very good and strong health.
Great, thank you.
Most welcome.
And thanks for everyone for tuning in. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thanks and bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I'm here at International Peace Institute and we're filming the next installment of our selfie interview, and I am here with...
Hi, I'm Cristiana Figueres. I'm the former Executive Secretary of the United Nations Framework Climate Convention, and I am a candidate for the post of Secretary General.
Great, thanks so much for joining us. So our question came in on Twitter from the Global Network for Women Peace Builders, and they want to know, if you are elected Secretary General, how will you work to implement Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security?
Well, fortunately, I would say that resolution hasn't been waiting for implementation. As we know, there have been several other resolutions that have come in after that to give it more teeth, if you will. What I find fantastic about that resolution is that it really does bring together all of the different aspects of the potential that we women have to be agents of change, and to certainly recognize that there are many, many different areas in which we are still being the targets of victimization, but that we also have the power within us to help society to move forward in all of its different aspects, whether that is social advance, economic progress, environmental protection, and including peace and security, which an area that one might say, well, traditionally we didn't think that women had anything to add to it, but we have grown in our understanding, and we understand that actually there is a huge female potential there to help not just women who are under very trying circumstances in conflict areas, but actually everyone who can use the kind of leadership that we women bring. So I would look very much forward to not just yet another resolution, another decision, which we tend to do at the United Nations, but actually being able to implement and being able to see the results on the ground, shoulder to shoulder with all of my sisters.
Great, thanks so much. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next installment of our Candidate for Secretary General series. Bye.